Women are more loyal than men.
You can sometimes hate the person you're in a marriage with.
But just because you love someone, it doesn't stop someone from cheating because there's lust.
My stance on this is that if you initiate the date, you should pay.
Welcome to Bridge the Gap, a show where we aim to build a bridge of understanding between opposing views. Each episode, you will see our participants sit down to discuss some thought-provoking statements.
Women are more loyal than men.
If they disagree with the statement, they'll leave their seat and allow those that agree to explain themselves.
I think men are a lot more easier to let a relationship go.
Those that disagree then return and express themselves to the rest of the group,
I do believe it's 50-50. I feel like both genders cheat equally.
hopefully building a bridge of understanding. Let's see what happens.
Got it.
Being my gender has major disadvantages.
What did he say? What did she say?
If I disagree, I leave.
Being my gender has major disadvantages, so being a woman has a disadvantage.
This one's gonna be special.
So what do you think now?
This is very interesting.
This is where we're like, girls. Just
Sorry.
I feel like being a woman sometimes, I feel like we're seen as the nurturers, the people that love, and I feel sometimes as being a woman you carry a great weight on you sometimes, especially for me being a mother. It's like you're supposed to, society sees you as someone who's supposed to nurture your family, take care of them, be strong, help everyone with their battles, and you know, you're still a person, you just like everybody else, you have thoughts, feelings, you get weak, you feel sad, just like everyone else. And I feel like sometimes that is just a disadvantage naturally.
Or the flip side of that is I feel like sometimes when you're not naturally that way, or you're not naturally emotional, or you're not naturally the person that wants to nurturing, or you just might have different ways you're quite dominant in your approach, it's seen as, you know, not womanly. And that can be hard because especially as like a black woman, sometimes it can make you come off as like the aggressive black woman. Do you get what I mean? So people make you feel a certain thing because you're not acting like the typical stereotype of a woman. You just might not be emotional. You just might be a certain way. You might act a certain way, and that's okay. But we are kind of oppressed by it,
and then it would be like, why can't you be womanly enough?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, or like why can't you be, you know, softer?
Yeah.
But even disadvantage in terms of just like everyone knows the workplace, especially when you're dealing with a very male-dominated environment. Having to adjust how you are in that environment, whether it's like you have to be less friendly or you have to be more, you know, bitchier and stuff like that, just to get a certain level of respect. You can't be that, you know, female friendly or just because it's so misconstrued. And then it's like you can't win. Really,
you can't win, no.
You can't either. You're the bitch, or just way too friendly and flirtatious with everyone. So it's like.
I came back because I feel like sometimes men have this feeling of being macho and thinking that they're the bee's knees, not opening up to their emotions, not being in touch with their emotions, and that can have a very negative effect on the individual themselves, to the extent that it can have massive mental health problems, because you feel like you can't open up to anybody, you feel like you can't speak to somebody about the problems which you have, but you're a human being yourself, you have the right to be upset and frustrated and sad. And you sometimes feel that I can't share my problem with someone because I won't be manly enough. So I do feel like as men, personally, I need to sometimes open up and talk about how I feel and discuss my problems. Otherwise, it'll eat up inside of me and it'll cause me stress.
What was the question again? Being a male is a disadvantage.
Your gender.
So the statement was, being my gender has major disadvantages.
Okay.
Mine wasn't a major,
with what
but
you were saying, do you feel like as your gender, though, it's a major disadvantage, or it's just...
I feel like being a male, which is the gender, brings its stereotypes with it, as you guys are discussing for the females. And being a male, you are always taught to be strong and macho, and that's important. I think that's really important. I believe in there being roles for each gender. I think that's very important for the function of society.
The balance, yeah.
Yeah, but I also feel that being too macho doesn't allow you to express how you feel at certain points in your life, which is really important, which will allow you to have positive mental health.
So I agree with you in that that's important, but I don't think it's a disadvantage.
Yeah, no,
So for me, I understand that society has defined masculinity, and that kind of skews you and puts you in one place and kind of decides how you should behave and stuff like that. But in terms of disadvantage, I don't think I'm at a disadvantage.
maybe then maybe I misunderstood the question. Then maybe what I should say then is that bit on that the stereotypes that we have for different genders
Yeah.
is a disadvantage for the gender itself.
Yeah.
Okay, that's my stance.
Because I wouldn't think I'm at a disadvantage. Being a man basically opens doors for me that probably a woman wouldn't.
Yeah, true. I agree.
Yeah,
So,
I agree.
I am at an advantage, even just thinking about stereotypical Nigerian households. And so being a black male is a whole.
That's a whole different conversation.
That's a whole different conversation.
That's a whole different ballgame.
I have basically split out being a man from being a black man, because that's a whole different thing.
Yeah, that's enough.
But as I was saying before, in a Nigerian household, if you're born a guy, you're entitled to certain rights that, because thinking about my family, my sister is a lot smarter than I can ever be, no matter how I think about it. But there's so much worth in me being the first boy that she can never get to, regardless of whatever, just the fact that she was born a woman. So it's just that difference between advantage and disadvantage. Just being born a man, I just have so many advantages. And her being born a woman has given her disadvantage without her knowing.
But is that because you're a woman, or is that because of the stereotypes and perceptions society has?
I would.
That's culturally though.
It's cultural.
Yeah,
it's cultural.
that's
It's
how we-
societal. It's
It's
pretty much
the way the world.
if
where the
you
world
see
is.
if you see a man and you see a woman, what are your perceptions and what kind of advantages and disadvantages do those people
Who
have?
fares off better? In
Like,
most
who fares
situations?
off better?
It is a man that fares off better in most situations.
If I decide to have a jog at 2 a.m., I can do that.
A woman has to think twice. Let's be
Yeah,
honest.
we do.
Yeah, you're right.
Because if you do that, you have to think, well,
Too many factors.
predators,
Yeah.
what are people going to think I'm jogging for? You know, who am I jogging for? There's just you now face a whole load of luggage. The one thing I will agree with you on is men feeling a bit more at a disadvantage when it comes to mental health. I feel like women have open circles to speak sometimes about their feelings with their friends, their female friends, and, you know, offload. And I see within like my friends and family and just people I know in general, when it comes to mental health and speaking, like if they're feeling like really depressed or really down, I don't feel like it's something seen as an automatic right to be able to do that. It's going to be like a side eye, like, okay, you're saying that, okay, well, that's just you.
Yeah,
You're not really a man then.
Doesn't even allow you
These
to.
other negative perceptions.
Yeah, but even that affects relationships. So if you had a more emotional guy who was open to kind of speak about his
You wouldn't see him as
feelings,
much of a man. Like,
you wouldn't see him
yeah.
as a man.
You wouldn't see him as a man at all.
So, but that,
Depends on the woman.
in a sense,
You know,
Depends on the
marriage changes everything, you know. Marriage changes everything. And I say that because you open up to that individual, that partner, and they see you for who you are, and they see your flaws, they see your strengths, and they see past everything else and accept you for who you are, and it's not always surface level.
That can always be. That can also be just the way you are as an individual.
And maybe
Because
I'm
people
sorry.
still say stuff like, "My husband doesn't
Yeah.
show me himself. I don't know him.
Yeah.
It's been this long."
it really just depends on the marriage.
Yeah.
It's a case by case.
You know what, you're just full of sauce. You're just full of sauce, this guy.